The host of the little podcast that could, Christopher Harris, joins us next on the RotoWire Fantasy Podcast. Hey, everybody. I'm Jeff Erickson, not Eric Jefferson, here with my good friend Christopher Harris. You know him from harrisfootball.com. I hope you know him from harrisfootball.com. Great podcast, great Almanac coming out really soon. Another big announcement coming up really soon as well. Chris, thank you for joining me. Welcome. How are you, my friend?
I'm okay. I have several bones to pick. Let's just do it with the niceties. All right. First of all, you're not coming to poker on the yacht this weekend?
I am at a family birthday party out in Moreno Valley. So
I just can't even.
Yeah, I know.
Just can't even. You run that game.
Not last time. I got smoked last time. I think I won 2 pots all night, but yeah.
Okay. Thank you for mentioning the Almanac, because if it looks like I'm about to collapse into a heap, it's because I am putting the finishing touches on the Almanac, which if anybody is expecting it should be out on, well, it will be out by hook or by crook. It will be out on Friday. It's basically done. I'm excited. I'm excited for it to be out the door. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I also do a revision of it. So late August, anybody who buys the PDF now, they get a revision where I've marked up all the stuff that we learned over the month or so. And so I don't get to totally forget about it through August, but this is a big milestone.
Yeah, that's awesome. Every podcast, you start by reading a profile, almost every podcast, that and user emails where you're invited to random events. You accept all of them there. But I like it because you're getting a little test of the tease of the profiles. And I learned a few things here and there, why you're not going to have Ashton Genty on teams this year, for instance. Even though you don't know ADP and won't look at ADP forever, but at least another month.
A month, probably middle of August. So two more weeks plus, something like that. We do a ADP surprises reveal show on August, I don't know, 13th, 14th, 15th, somewhere around there, where that's the first time where I go. I mean, you understand why though, right?
Yes, I completely. But tell everybody why, for those who haven't heard, because we have a new listener every 0.7 milliseconds. I'm told that on Sirius XM. So tell everybody why you don't look at ADP.
I mean, it's the tyranny of, okay, what is this ADP even based on? Who the hell is drafting on? We're talking on July 30th. The 30th. Yeah. Who's drafting right now? Best ball sickos. They're doing 1,000 drafts. Do we really think that should be the basis of ADP? Besides which, and I say this every year, and every year it becomes more true, but there is no single ADP. It is completely fragmented, fractured. It depends on the platform you play on, because ADP is a self-perpetuating cycle. You know that I worked for ESPN for almost a decade ago. We would sit in a room and we would talk through the ranks, and we would yell at each other, and we'd come up with a list that we could live with as a company. And that was our default ranks inside the game. And guess what our ADP on our platform resembled? So the CBS guys sit in a room, they have a different conversation, and the Yahoo guys sit in a room and they have a different conversation. And ADP really kind of isn't consistent anymore. All of which is to say, I just don't want to be, I don't want to have my opinions moved by the quote unquote market this early, because there's no reason. I don't think ADP is really based on anything yet.
No, and I agree, actually. And it's not just the it's two things. It's one, it's the type of game you're playing, no matter where you are, whether it's best ball or whether it's, NFFC, where it's full point PPR and it's 20-man rosters and, 6 points for a passing touchdown. So it's the game you play, but it's also the default rankings too. Wherever you go, there's going to be a set of default rankings if you're drafting online, and they do not, you can, believe it what you want to believe, but it totally influences the ADP completely. 100% does.
It's a gravitational pull. That is your North Star. All right, well, I'm supposed to take this guy, but maybe I'll be clever and take someone else. But a lot of people just take the guy they're supposed to take according to the platform they're playing on.
And not only does it make logical sense, but I think you not looking at ADP serves you well. I know for last year, it certainly did, when you were taking certain running backs ahead of where they were going, because you weren't looking at that. You were because I like Joe Mixon. He's a good player. I like Alvin Kamara. He is a good player. I'm going to take him there. I don't care what ADP says.
Yeah. I had Barkley in almost every team. I did pretty well last year.
Last year was very, very good to you.
Yeah.
So and yeah, hey, as a loyal listener, I appreciate. I see. The thing is, I listened, and sometimes I even followed. But I also just because I have my own opinions. I have my own set of like mistaken beliefs and all that there. But I also I admire your approach. It is not trying to guess usage in July. It's not trying to go with the masses. It's more, is this player good? And
Yeah.
I've always respected that about how you do that there. Whether it's, and it's not just numbers, but it's also watching the player and all that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we care about situation a ton. Situation winds up mattering so much.
Right.
It's just that we're awful at predicting which the best situations are going to be or the worst situations are going to be. Like every year we mess up. We walk into a season, I always say with our mind palaces, like this is how the league is going to go. This is how all the usage is going to go. Every backfield, I know the split. Every receiver core, I know who's they're going to rely on and where. And then week one starts and then the mind palace just, suddenly we realize, oops, I guess the Dolphins offense isn't that good, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we get situation stuff wrong all the time. So what I always say is I try to make situation matter as little as humanly possible. I'm going to shove it down, tamp it down as much as I possibly can in the course of ranking players. Of course, it's going to leak out. Like there are a few offenses I can't help it. I think the Lions offense still probably going to be pretty good. I think the Eagles offense still probably going to be pretty good. So I'm giving those guys a little boost because I can't help it. But in a lot of cases, I'm trying not to punish and or reward players just because of their situation. And that if you don't have situation, all you have left is talent. So that's my default.
And that kind of leads to our principal topic today. And I kind of tease it as like the things that matter right now. And a lot of the times you got to have that filter. It doesn't matter. And that's why you start off every year podcast season with the, your fascist email, as you like to call it, there, where you have your guests and like, this is what you need. Tell me, what do I need to learn while watching training camp, while watching, reading when we're note season here, because we have gone straight from trickle to stream to fire hose. We're at fire hose note season.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh my God.
And we have to apply a filter. So how do we apply that filter?
The way I try to do it, I mean, so first of all, obviously negative stuff matters. Injuries primarily matter. When bad stuff that comes out about anybody, you have to react, or you have to choose to react or not react to it. I mean, we were texting earlier and I was like, I'm not reacting to Justin Jefferson having a hamstring strain and missing a couple of days of practice. On July 30th, that does not rise to the level of me do anything about it. But that is a reaction. I am paying attention to it. I am taking the negative thing that happened and I am deciding what to do with it. So that's first and foremost. Obviously, there's Joe Mixon getting hurt, Darnell Mooney getting hurt, Najee Harris blowing his face up with a firework. These things obviously matter.
Yeah,
cousin Najee. From there, the way I do it is I actually use the podcast in July to try and talk through each team and talk through each skill area and think about, okay, barring some giant negative, should I be paying attention to the noise that comes out about this position group on this team? Because every position group on every team is going to get noise. The beat reporters, it's funny, Dave Kluge was on with us YouTubing a mock draft that's on our YouTube channel right now. Last night we recorded it and he said we're in the era of having to process so many things that if you were to react to every single thing, how would you even do that? Like, what would your ranking going up and down look like? It would be this perpetual cycle. So I think that's right. So I've sort of pre-wired in my head things I want to pay attention to because I don't know how they're going to turn out.
Yep, absolutely. And to that end, our cover photo subject was Tank Bigsby. And there has been some noise. I think it's a July tradition, by the way, that Tank Bigsby is turning heads in practice. He's running with the first team. And I know you discussed the Jacksonville running back situation is something you will be following. Yeah, I think it's careful. We got to be careful not to over-evaluate, as you said, running around in shorts in the first week of practice.
Right. Yeah. Like in an unpadded practice, we're getting news about a running back. I mean, come on. But so if you've done this exercise, anybody who's done the exercise of sitting down and trying to rank every draftable fantasy player at some point gets the Jacksonville backfield and has to go, okay, who am I putting first? And if you have a super strong take, okay, you're allowed to. Last year I did because Etienne was coming off a wonderful season, but he's not now. And so I came to the conclusion that I would rank Bigsby just a spot or two higher than Etienne, but I didn't feel good about it. And so the way I leave it with myself, especially having talked about it on the podcast, is now I'm going to pay attention, not to July padless practices, no, but I'm going to pay attention to the scuttlebutt, the feeling in general, the feeling as, or any of the rookies seem to be making headway. That becomes more obvious as we go through August. Not yet, but as we go through August, in a couple weeks, it'll become more obvious if Bashul Tutin, for example, it just kind of is always getting reps when the ones are practicing something. The beat reporters are going to see that and they're going to tell us, and that's going to matter. I'm going to pay attention to that, as opposed to somebody behind Saquon Barkley getting, just right. Not worried. And then even if a rookie isn't interjecting himself, let's hear just how, in general, it's going to be some kind of split if no rookie is involved. Nobody's winning the job the way 20 years ago someone would win the job. It's going to be 60-40 probably, but who's the 60, who's the 40? We can get a feeling, not on July 30th, but down the road. And I'm going to 100% day by day, listen to the opinions and not make adjustments the first time someone says something or the second time. Have some patience. Nobody's drafting in a serious league yet. I guess best ball people are, but is that serious? That's a topic for a different date. The redraft leagues and the season-long leagues are not happening yet. So let's check in August 14th and what's the accumulation of that Jacksonville beat report stuff look like? And that'll certainly, I can imagine myself raising or lowering those two Jacksonville veteran running backs based on all of that processing.
For sure. I am drafting tonight, Chris, in a pretty serious NFFC one, beat Jeff Erickson RotoWire Online Championship one, because I'm a sicko. But I wanted to get my first one in there. I've done plenty on, I do plenty every year, but I just wanted to get a rep in there. And of course, it's all sickos in the league. All the regs are in there that have done 10 of these already. And I see one that's listed, RC, RotoWire OC 18 is one of his team name. I'm like, okay, man. I knew what I'm getting into, though. I mean, it's cool.
Right. All love to people who are doing drafts right now, but that's not who I'm making a show for. That's the bottom line. Is I'm just not making a show for the people who are doing 100 drafts and they start in May. You're welcome to listen to my show. I would love it. I hope you think it's fun and funny and informative, but I'm not going to bend the content towards something I don't believe, so that you're getting the razor's edge of let's react to every single beat report that comes out. The other thing that Dave said was beat reporters themselves have kind of come to embrace fantasy and understand that a lot of the clicks that they get are related to people desperate to react to anything in July. And so the fire hose is that, it's people, it's trying to serve people who just can't practice click discipline. And I prefer to do that.
Yeah. It's now a fire hose with sparkles. It got a little extra. Ooh, look at this. Yeah, absolutely. Right. I will say, you mentioned the word discipline a couple times. I think it's really, as a consumer of it, as someone that creates content, I hate that phrase, but that's what it's a quasi accurate description of what we do. But as someone that's providing information, as trying to help people win leagues, it's tough to be disciplined this time of year, because you want to be able to have something that's value added. You want to be able to tell something I'm not just sitting here, I'm trying to show my work, but at the same time, what does it really matter? And maybe it's just saying, okay, slow down. Maybe that's the information people need to hear. Maybe not what they want to hear.
Yeah. I think if you could condense all my July shows down to 2 words, it would be slow down. Your opinion doesn't need to be, people will come to a live stream that I do. Who should I keep between this guy and that guy? And I go, well, do you have to decide now? Can't we decide 3 weeks?
Yep.
I think slow down, click discipline. I'm certainly getting the fire hose directly in the face. Don't get me wrong. My pose, my physical pose when I get the fire hose in the face is I'll get the Cam Scatabo news item about he did something amazing in shells, and I go, I'm suspicious of everything and don't want to react to anything. But if it keeps coming up, like that's what they mean by the drumbeat. We all say drumbeat now, like that's what they mean. If they like the first time, don't react. The second time, probably don't react. But like the eighth time, people on the ground who have eyeballs are taking a look at these things and providing their feedback again and again. And they can be wrong, but like I'm not there. So at some point I'm more willing to listen. And of course, much more willing to try to react to what we've heard by the time we get to late August, which is when, most serious drafts are happening.
For sure. Absolutely. And I agree with that. Most serious drafts are happening there. This podcast is always brought to you by the good folks at Circa. Circa Million, Circa Survivor are back with a massive $21 million in guaranteed prizes. Circa Million, pick 5 games against the spread each week, 18 weeks of action with 126 ways to win, $1 million for the winner, and $6 million guaranteed. Circa Survivor, 1 pick a week, no point spread, lasts the longest to win it all, at least $15 million guaranteed. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere, $21 million guaranteed. Visit circasports.com for details. I'm Jeff Erickson here, not Eric Jefferson, with Chris Harris from harrisfootball.com. Dude, every time like I do your podcast, I get, hey, is that not Eric Jefferson? I love it there. I love the jingles you have for every single one of your guests. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, you're a very valued guest. You're coming on my show next week. I'm thrilled about that. And we will certainly be hearing your walk-up music.
Yes. Can't wait. Can't wait to hear that. You said one thing that rings true. Injuries do matter this time of year. And we've had a couple of huge ones already. The biggest one I wanted to talk about was Tristan Wirfs. And this happened even before training camp even opened up. To me, this is one of the more impactful injuries if it extends into the regular season, which all the reporting suggests it will. Obviously, they have till August 30th to decide this. But I think a lot of things stem from on Tampa from the strong offensive line and their best offensive linemen.
Sure, but I don't know how to process that in fantasy. Like I don't think, if I'm honest, I don't think I've seriously considered saying, all right, I got to take those running backs lower. I don't look at ADP, but I get yelled at on social media. So I already know I'm lower than the market on Bucky Irving. I already know I'm lower in the market than Mike Evans. I already know I'm lower in the market than Baker Mayfield. So yeah, I guess like me ignoring ADP is not entirely working, because when people yell at you, you go, oh, really? Oh, interesting. So maybe I don't have anywhere to go down because I'm already lower than most people seem to be. I don't know how to process a left tackle not being in fantasy. It's a long question, and you can't say it has no impact. Of course it does.
Right.
If everything else works on the line, are there ways you can help a left tackle who's not Tristan Wirfs, where you just constantly letting someone chip, constantly leaving a running back in, constantly whatever, with a good offensive coordinator? Yes. So like, I can't see that as a reason that I would decide, oh, instead of RB, 12, now Bucky Irving is RB 20. I'll ask you, have you done that? Have you done like major lowering of Tampa guys because the tackles hurt?
I have lowered Baker and I have lowered Mike Evans. Okay. I think Mike Evans does a lot of downfield routes. And I think those take longer to develop. And I think they won't have as much time, especially week 2 against Houston, week 4 against Philly. In particular, if he does begin the season on the active pup list that's minimum 4 games, will it be time to adjust? Sure. But I don't think it'll be as good as the original. And thus I'm a little more circumspect. And like you, I was a little down, I think, compared to the pack, a little bit there on those players, especially on Baker Mayfield. I just think there's, as our good friend Scott Pianowski says, regression is usually an answer, but regress to what, is a question. And, Baker's coming off clearly an all-time, his best year so far, and probably his best year period. So I think regression would be the natural response. So this only encourages me to think that way.
Yeah, I don't have Baker in my top 12 quarterbacks. I didn't before this. I didn't change that. I didn't make it lower than he is.
Okay.
My feeling, honestly, over the years is I've seen situations when the left tackle was hurt and the offense tanked, and I've seen situations where the left tackle was hurt and they didn't miss a beat. I've seen, the Chiefs last year not have a left tackle the entire season. And I mean, obviously we can argue they didn't live up to fantasy building, but they won. They were 15-1 in games that they were trying. So like, I don't think I have it in me to change based on offensive line absence.
Fair. I think they did see a pretty big, they suffered offensively. Yeah, I think you could argue in the case of the Chiefs, but how much of that is due to that and how much of it is due to just other things? Yeah, it's tough to attribute for sure.
It is.
Cleveland Browns last year would be an example, though. Like they lost multiple linemen. It was kind of carnage. And the reporting on that was saying, hey, this is a real problem. And it turns out it was a real problem, especially when you have a quarterback that can't move in a void when is that there.
But I'll just argue, sorry to interrupt. I'll just argue that so Deshaun Watson was ready to have an all-time year if they had a line. I think the problem probably stemmed more from the quarterback, but yeah.
Yeah. And I just think there are instances where that sort of stuff could have an impact.
Oh, yeah.
I get you. I get you on that one there. Joe Mixon, this is something directly matters.
Correct. Yeah.
Hey, they're hopeful. Maybe he'll be ready before week 1. They're going to check in right before the start of the season on something that really wasn't talked a lot about during the offseason, how he injured his foot during offseason training. They put him on the non-football injury list as opposed to the PUP list. That almost struck me as petty, but maybe that's just because I don't know the arcana of the various injured lists. What are you doing with Joe Mixon right now?
Well, I had him pretty high and I lowered him, and I did a mock draft last night with Dave Kluge on Sleeper, and the default ranks for Sleeper had him still way lower. I got him in that draft. I think I got him in the maybe 3rd round or something. I still think he's probably I had him in the 2nd, and I lowered him to RB 16 in a standard or 18 in a PPR. Deserves to be lower, no question about it. There's more risk inherent. It has room to go lower because I think we're going to get more news. I don't think the whole thing's resolved as of right now. It seems to me, I think we're piecing things together. He had 2 high ankle sprains last year, 2 hip drop tackles.
Yes.
That weren't called, that led to absences that were both high ankle sprains. And he had some kind of procedure in the offseason probably. And I don't know if we know that for sure. And now they're telling us that it's a foot injury and not an ankle injury. I think it's probably all the same injury. I actually hadn't heard that he's questionable for week 1. What I've heard is they're going to revisit it in mid-August in a few weeks.
Yeah. I guess I might not be paraphrasing it properly, but reviewed before the start of the season, something of that nature there. So that's he has room to go lower. He has room to go lower. Again, I don't consider what we do on July 30th and or August 1st for the Almanac. There's a reason I do a second update of the Almanac. I don't view it as the final draft. I view this as I'm lowering him to a point where if I had to do a draft right now, I would keep taking Joe Mixon because there's an X% chance that this is all part of the plan that they never told us, and it's all fine, and they have a plan for him to be ramped back up and good again in a week in advance of week 1, in which case probably I'm at the right rank because there's more risk than there used to be, but they have a plan and we're going to hear about it somewhere down the road. But absolutely, if we don't hear that plan exists and they're just yeah, we don't know when we're getting him back, then I think he probably needs to go even lower in my ranks. What do you make of the offensive line shuffle out of the coordinator change in Houston? Especially trading away Laramie Tunsil, a name brand, at least maybe in terms of pass protection more than run blocking, it matters more. But what do you make of all that in sizing up the Houston running game?
I mean, it matters. And we're going to know the truth about it when the games start counting. But I think we make the biggest mistake when we decide we know what situations are beforehand. I'm aware that it's now Cam Robinson. I'm aware that they jettisoned the guards, that they are trying different guys. It's clear they think they're going to have a better offensive line. I don't know if it's true, but if we were going to take the team's word for it, you'd say this is good for everybody in the skill positions, especially CJ Stroud, who by the end of last year was everything he was completing was I'm about to be crushed. I'm running around like crazy. I'm making a hero ball type play. And we would like that not to happen for CJ Stroud. So if we were to believe the team, then this reconstructed offensive line is better. But if we were to like cast a cynical eye on it and say Laremy Tunsil sure made a lot of money and you got cheaper when you got Cam Robinson as your left tackle, and like Shaq Mason made a lot of money and now you're going a little cheaper at guard, and so maybe this isn't about improving it. Now they're, so like this all adds up to me not prejudging the situation. I'm going to watch every Texans game because I watch every game. By the time the stuff matter, like I don't think you can draft based on like, I'm positive this offensive line is the best. I'm positive this offensive line is horrible. It isn't how I draft, because we're wrong 50% of the time. We're wrong as much as we're right in how much it affects the skill guys. And so like, I love the skill weapons at the tippity top of that depth chart if Mixon is healthy. So I think Houston's offense is going to be pretty good. And I mean, for the first half of last year, Houston's offense was pretty good. It wasn't maybe as elite as we hoped it would be, but it was really good. And then everybody got hurt all at once. And then, by the time they got back, the line was really struggling. And so I'm factoring all that in, but I also want to just say, like, CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, a healthy Joe Mixon is the beginnings of an amazing skill platoon, a skill group. And like other things being equal, I'm going to tend to believe in it and not get too down on the O-line.
Absolutely. I have some follow-up comments I want and questions, but first, we are also sponsored by Vegas Football Proxy. Do you want to enter the greatest pro football contest in the world, the Circa Million Circa Survivor contest in Nevada? Offer a massive $21 million in prize money, and Vegas Football Proxy can help you play in these awesome contests. Vegas Football Proxy is based in Las Vegas and offers proxy services for customers all over the country. Sign up at the Circa Resort Casino in Las Vegas and then play from anywhere with Vegas Football Proxy. The folks at VFP are experienced professionals. They are 100% reliable and provide outstanding customer service. Their submission process is easy to use and ensures accurate and timely pick submissions. Our crew has used them there when signing up for Survivor and Circa Million before, when we've been out there for Radio Row. Tom Carroll and his team at VFP have been serving contest players for more than a decade and have helped countless clients achieve their dreams, from just being able to compete in a Vegas contest all the way to winning the Circa Survivor contest. If you want to take a shot at $21 million in prize money, visit vegasfootballproxy.com/rotopod. That's ROT as in Tom, OPOD for more details. Jeff Erickson here with Christopher Harris from harrisfootball.com. New Almanac coming out tomorrow. Or no, on
Friday.
On Friday, August 1st.
Yep.
Calendars are hard. Bear with me on that one there. But Chris, let's talk a little bit. You talked about watching games, and I think this is really important. I try to watch every game as well. First of all, how do you watch it? Do you watch all 22? How do you when you say you watch in every single game, how are you going about watching it?
Broadcast, because all 22s aren't ready yet. I have everything watched by Monday night.
Okay.
So it's half the games on Sunday and half the games on Monday. And my podcast on Monday is like full film review of half of it. And then Tuesday is whatever games I didn't get to on Monday. So all 22 just isn't ready yet.
Right.
I will get to all 22 when it's ready later in the week to look at specific things. If I want to know, what happened to Nico Collins? Like, was he running routes? Like I can, turn on the all 22 and watch that. But not watching entire games that way.
Yeah. And I do the broadcast version as well. I try to get them all, but in time for my Tuesday value meter. That's my process when I start doing the rank. Tuesday is my ranking day, and I go about doing that. And so I want to have seen every game by then. How many, we're talking about the Houston offensive line as just one particular thing. And obviously there's a billion issues you can watch for, but just say, using that as an example, how much do you need to see to be convinced? Like, is it one game? Is it 4 games? Like, how much, how many games do you need before you feel like you have legitimate data?
Yeah, it's a good question. And there's probably not one answer. It's probably like on a case by case basis,
Sure,
and like how good or bad something looked. I can say that a lot of times, I'll spend all of August telling everybody, don't overreact to everything, guys. Like, not everything means something. And then week 1 comes and something bad happens, and they're like, well, can we react now? And I go, not yet, guys. Nope, can't react.
Oh, we're the same way. Yeah.
At some point, it's just obnoxious about how I'm telling everybody they have to stick to their opinion. I think you want your opinions to be sticky, though.
Yes.
You want your opinions to be hard earned, and you don't want to be convinced that you're wrong by one sample piece of data or 2 even pieces of data. I've seen enough, when it comes to an offensive line, for example, I've seen enough passing games and or running games be very good for fantasy with offensive lines that I've thought were like, not great. Mm-hmm. And I've seen plenty of skill positions not play all that great, even though we were like, yeah, that offensive line's pretty good. Generally speaking, the performance looks all right. So it's just not a one-to-one relationship between the performance of an offensive line and fantasy points anyway. And then, but like, stuff like backfield mix. If I'm sitting here telling you I'm actually giving a slight preference, at least like a standard type league, probably a PPR, I'd flip them a little bit. ETN would be ahead of Bigsby. But like if I'm telling you I have Bigsby at ETN and then we get to week 1 and ETN plays on 84% of the snaps, it's time to react. I got it wrong. Yeah. That's fine. Things like that are, much easier to go, okay, now they're telling us the truth of what they really want to do. And I got it wrong.
Yeah. And even then, though, it could be fluid. It could be opponent driven. The team has a certain formation they're going up against. You just know, like, oh, the Bengals had 4 defensive tackles hurt last year. We're just going to run it down their throats these 6 games. Yeah. And then they changed, they got healthy, and all of a sudden it was a little bit of a different defense you're facing. Of course, everything is fluid in the NFL. And teams also, they know what they're weak at. They know what they're strong at. And if they know that the tight end's been beating him on the regular, well, we're going to figure out a way to try to stop the tight end eventually. Maybe they can't. Maybe they don't have the personnel and they never will. But there are many cases there where like, okay, we're going to change schematically. So, it no longer holds true.
Yep. 100% agree. Like that's, there's people in their Twitter bios who say fantasy football is a math equation. Mm-hmm. And like, those people don't seem that hard to beat in fantasy to me because it's just not. Yeah. And I know there's a certain comfort that people take in having a rubric that says, no, this is right. This is correct. This is the way it's going to be. Because I judged their expected yards and their, expected work share, whatever. And then what you said is actually the truth. And those people they go, oh, well, that's just bad coaching. See, if they followed the rubric, this is what they should do, but they're not. So it's just bad coaching. I wasn't wrong. Surely it's not me that are wrong. It's the children.
Yeah. And advanced stats are great. They can be used as many ways. It's just not, they're more of reflective than predictive, first of all. And then
they're great at determining what happened. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. And they can shed light on the future too. But I would also argue, why would you ever not want to watch football? I mean, what are we doing here? Yeah. If you don't, why are we playing fantasy football? Why are you a football fan if you don't want to watch the games? If you don't want to do that, I mean, that's the joy. There is a certain kind of person, I think, in the generation like our generations, the people who are into metrics are the people who grew up on fantasy baseball. Mm-hmm. And fantasy baseball, you love it. I know. I don't play it anymore. Yep. And of course we care about the metrics in fantasy baseball. They're very predictive. We dive into the data because it tells us a ton about what's going to happen, because there's BABIP matters, like all of them, they all matter. And so they're coming from that perspective where they got good at fantasy because they started to learn the predictive stat, those numbers, and they get to football and it doesn't really work that way. I'm sorry. Like there's no way to account for the chaos. It's it's not 1-on-1 batter on pitcher. It's 11-on-11. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say this, even that love of watching football can be put to the test when the Browns are playing the Titans and setting back football in 10 years. I mean, sure.
I don't mind it. I like it all. I mean, insofar as, of course, by week, 14, you're like, oh, good, another week of this. But like the actual specifics of the games, I never find myself going, oh, this one, I don't want to watch this one. I'm always like, oh, I'm interested to see within the context of what they do, whether this supposition that I said on the show is true or not, and this thought and whatever. So it's very timely. It's like a tsunami of games and game film that are,
I'll cop to have sometimes saying I don't want to watch this one, but then I watch it and I find something noteworthy there, and he's like, oh yeah, well that was kind of cool. I guess defense can be cool too. You get that every once in a while. Does that translate over to the preseason? How much do you try to watch of preseason games? Zero zilch nada. He's making a symbol with his hand, folks.
For the folks at home, I will not watch preseason games.
Yeah, all right. And I'm glad I'm glad I asked that.
Useless.
I tend to agree, and I also find that the product is just not entertaining either.
Oh, it's a disaster. You don't know. Wow, I can't believe what a great job. Like, you don't know who's covering him. It's just some dude. He's a future gym teacher of America. Zero. I don't get anything out of it. I don't believe in it. I don't. People are like, oh, but he started with the first in the preseason. Yeah, because the veteran is like, I don't want to play in this stupid game. I mean, I think the preseason is going away. They're going to expand the season to 18 games, and there won't, in a couple years, there won't be a preseason because it's freaking useless.
Yeah. Do you think it's totally useless for teams as well? Like
everybody, I mean, I know some people who work at NFL teams. I don't know a ton. I'm not like incredibly sourced, but every person I've ever asked that question to, they say we get much more out of the controlled scrimmages where they're doing now, where the team visits for 2 days, and they get way more out of that than they ever do out of preseason games. So I think that's your answer.
I tend to agree. I really tend to agree. I can count on one hand the time that preseason has changed my mind on something. Edgerrin James. I have to go that far back. That's the one that sticks in my head. Is like, oh my God, I'm way under on him because I saw him in one preseason game, and then I got the positive reinforcement because then I drafted him earlier than I was going to draft him, and yeah.
But the thing about that is, that's more than 20 years ago.
Exactly.
And there just wasn't the noise about there weren't 8 beat reporters writing giant blurbs that RotoWorld was blurbing every single day, or pardon me, also RotoWire. I shouldn't use the competition's name. I apologize for that.
No problem.
You're not getting you weren't getting that fire hose back then. And
exactly.
so it was more of a revelation. We don't need that revelation now.
Yes, exactly right. And that is exactly why I had to go that far back. I'm sure, because I saw that little blip, and that was enough. But yeah, you're 100% right.
I heard Jamar Chase can't catch a pro football because it doesn't have the white stripes. So.
Yes. Well, and that is going to lead me to our next topic, is things that don't matter, and then we'll finish with. I know you have compiled a little bit of list of things over your series of podcasts, of things you are looking for that might matter that you're looking for, but
sure.
We got one more topic, or one more read to share with you from our friends at Fantrax. Is there something you wish your fantasy league had, or features that are missing from your current leagues? Bonus scoring, custom schedules or playoffs, deeper team settings? Well, look no further, because we have you covered with our friends at Fantrax. Fantrax is the most customizable fantasy platform in the industry, offering the greatest fantasy experience for your dynasty, keeper, redraft, and best ball leagues. Fantrax even offers college fantasy football leagues. RotoWire runs our staff college fantasy football league on Fantrax. It's fantastic. Create or join fantasy football commissioner leagues. Invite your friends and dominate your draft this season. Fantrax is the top dynasty fantasy football platform in the industry. Fantrax is running a special promotion you don't want to miss. Sign up for free at fantrax.com/RotoWire today to enter for your chance to win a signed Jamar Chase jersey. Ironic that we just mentioned Chase. Simply create a new league or bring over your existing leagues for more chances to win. Go to fantrax.com/RotoWire and sign up today. Fantrax, the home of fantasy sports. Jeff Erickson here. Yes, please add.
Can I add? Fantrax sponsors my show as well. It is legitimately a wonderful site. I absolutely agree. I pursued them because it is really a customizable site.
Yeah, we love them. We've been doing business with them for a long time, and it's great in multiple sports, by the way, too. If you for baseball, if you're in a dynasty league, I know you don't play baseball, fantasy baseball anymore, but if you're in a dynasty league, you need the most obscure minor leaguer, they'll have it. They will absolutely have it, and they'll add them for you if they don't. They're so good to work with there. So
yeah, they really are.
Absolutely. By the way, Jack chimes in. One of your main listeners. He goes, best change my league made was a brainchild of Harris. We got rid of tight end and simply replaced it with another flex spot. This is something you advocated for.
I do. I mean, tight end is a useless position these days. Not even really a position in the NFL anymore, because they're basically slot receivers, most of them. Mm-hmm. And so why are we? There's 4 guys who are fun to own, and then everything else is like, I guess I'll do Kate Otten again. I guess I don't understand how that's fun. And so my campaign is we've largely gotten rid of kickers. We've largely gotten rid of defenses. I don't know if that's entirely true, but there's at least a more acceptance of the idea of getting rid of those outliers that are just not reflective of being good in any way. They just produce random noise. It's already pretty random.
Yeah.
Why am I needing to own Chigakonkwo all love. I think he could be good if they ever threw it to him, but they don't. So the idea has been just, make another flex, have an entirely different flex that tight ends can get in there if they want to. They can get in any of your flexes, but then also you don't have to have a tight end. And, Bowers doesn't lose his value. McBride doesn't lose his value. It's just I don't have to freaking use Hunter Henry.
So I shouldn't really get you started about tight end boosted scoring then, should I?
Here's the thing, it's fine. It's just, it's a rising tide that kind of does the same thing to all boats. So the problem with tight end is just there's not enough of a difference between the performances. Once you get out of the Bowers neighborhood, they're just all kind of the same. It's 60, 606, 60 catches, 600 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's like what they aspire to. And most of them don't get there. And so in any given week, all you're like, did that guy score a touchdown? He went for 45 yards. Just did he get a touchdown? It's fine if you want to keep tight end. I have leagues that still have tight end as its own spot, but I agree. In any league I'm in where it's switched to tight ends or optional, you can use them in your flex. You can roster the best ones. You can take a chance on some high upside, some rookies, whatever, but you just don't have to roster the guys who have no ceiling, the guys who just, run 5 yards and turn around. It's so nice not to have to roster those guys.
Thanks to Jack for the comment there to inspire that. Let's talk about something, inspired by another comment in here. The things that don't matter, first of all, in training camp, practice season. For me, it's the hype train. It's, Keon Coleman had a great day. Look at these 2 high point catches against dot and pads, and nothing against Keon Coleman. I'm just using it because I saw that this weekend and it inspired me to think about that. Or, hey, and I saw the comment by Angelo that from Michael Penix saying, hey, we're going to do that more with Kyle Pitts this year. Oh, no. Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. No, I don't try not to fall for that.
Yeah, I don't really care what they say. They're not going to tell the truth, any of them. Why would they tell us that? We have a Robot Talia sound drop on my show. Why would they tell us that? Why would teams advertise to the competition, hey guys, we're really going to use Kyle Pitts a bunch this year, and then have it be real? They just have to say something. There's 1,000 microphones that are shoved in their face, so they just say nice things. The things you pay attention to in training camp mostly are the times when the slime gets out, where everybody's smiling, but they can't help it, and the slime keeps leaking out, and you get bad news. Something looks wrong, is the main stuff that you pay attention to. All the fluff about, incredible runs when nobody can tackle you, I'm just not going to pay any attention to.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And, it again requires some discipline every once in a while. I'll admit I have caught up in that every once in a while. And that happens. Let's talk about what does matter. And you've done these podcasts for each division. They're fantastic. Right. Highly recommend you go check out harrisfootball.com. All of them are on there twice a week to get started there, division by division. Things that might matter, things that you are looking for. They may matter, may not matter, but things that at least you're looking for that could matter. What are some of the things that are examples of that?
We talked about the Jacksonville backfield. Again, I'm not going to live and die with every day's worth of beat reports, but I want to know, I'm going to pay attention to all of them and not react to the first one, not react to the second one, but maybe react to the 8th one. So I'm going to be paying attention to that. I'm going to do we're gonna probably do a capstone show where I pick my top 5 things that I'll pay attention to most. Dave Richard from CBS is my traditional guest for that one on Monday. So I don't have these in any order. These might not be my most important ones. You'll have to listen to the show to get my most important ones. But I just picked out some other backfields that are clearly we want to know from point A, which is now, to point B, which is our fantasy draft day, August 20 something or Labor Day or whatever. What kind of movement do we feel in the way that people are talking about these backfields? I'd say the Giants, Tyron Tracy, Cam Scatabo. I'm interested just how do they get deployed? What are they saying about Scatabo? Is it becoming kind of an undeniable situation, or is it kind of clearly a pecking order? We're not going to get a straight answer, but I trust that you get enough detail in beat reports that eventually we might get nothing. We might get, I don't know. It's going to be some kind of mix. Or we might get, listen, it's pretty obvious that Scatabo is always the guy when they're in goal line or something, or whatever. I'm going to pay attention to that one.
Sure. And I think that's a great example. And even with all these job battles, I think it is important to remember too, that, that just might resolve what happens in week 1. It might happen series 1, and then they could change after they say, that didn't work.
Yeah.
We better change it up. But that's definitely one. I agree. I mean, I have very little idea what's going to happen right now with that one too. But again, we have to make a choice, and it matters on our choice. So better pay attention to it.
Yep, I have Tracy pretty significantly ahead of Scatabo, but I'm flexible. It's like mostly like, where are the soft points in my ranks? Where are the points where if you nudge me enough, I go, yeah, I guess I didn't really know anything when I put these together. So I'm willing to take new information for sure. Who else did I have on my little list for you? I mean, the Steelers.
Yeah.
So far we're told, Jaylen Warren is always repping with the ones. He's always taking the first snap of a drill, or he's always first up, whatever. That could be, deference to the veteran. He's not the kid anymore. Najee Harris is gone. So he's the one who's like runs the running back room now. Or it could be legit that all the talk that we had about Kaleb Johnson, okay, like he'll probably be good, but maybe not going to be like a definite starter right away or definite goal line guy right away. Again, these are backfields where I'm not sure they have an incentive to tell us everything they're going to do with them, but It just may become obvious to the boots on the ground, or it may not. And I'll just pay attention one way or the other. It's not like I'm looking for guidance to say, okay, beat reporters, like, please tell me how this is going to work out. And I'm going to adjust my ranks depending on what you say, no matter what. Like, no, I kind of have a good idea of, I have Warren a little ahead of Kaleb Johnson, but I'm willing to listen if they're like, if the feeling is like, that might be a mistake, I probably will. I'll listen to that.
There's an unusually high number of those situations this year too. There's the Steelers, there's the Giants that you alluded to, the Denver Broncos, the Chargers.
Broncos were on my list.
The Patriots.
Patriots are on my list. Yep.
Yeah. And in many cases, it's not just first team, but like how they're deployed. Like I've been told a lot of times that Travion Henderson is very good at pass pro. Do the Patriots find the same thing? Are they going to be using him on all these passing situations? In a PPR league, that will have my attention.
Yeah. And to be honest, like, I don't think the preseason is that useful for those kind of determinations, because I don't think the teams really take the preseason seriously. Agreed. But those controlled scrimmages, when the beat reporters give the reports on the controlled scrimmages, each team's going to have a couple of them. I would pay attention. If these backfields, I would like, because they're going to be hitting real hard. Those are all the veterans, and anybody who's healthy is playing, and they're going to be hitting in those controlled scrimmages. And like, not all of those backfields are going to resolve where beat reporters have told us a clear way to go, but I'm going to guess some will. Yeah. Also, let's not make the mistake of thinking that, the guy who wins the battle is the one who has value, and the guy who doesn't win is valueless. Like, the days of 80-20 splits in the NFL we're down to like one or two guys now. Everybody else, pretty much, it is to some degree of split, and even the guy who isn't the main guy can wind up having value if the offense becomes a wagon. Yep.
And again, just like we're talking about, teams aren't constant. They aren't going to say the same scheme, same players the whole time. They're going to adjust. Some of these reports we're seeing will change too. I remember Justin Herbert. Remember, as a rookie, there was that report maybe a week and a half before the start of the season. He's really having trouble picking up the Chargers offense. Oh, he's not anywhere close to being ready. Yeah. And then Tyrod Taylor got stabbed by the team doctor wrong in the lung. And all of a sudden he had to be ready. And he turned out to be okay.
He was really good.
The offense okay. So that things change pretty quickly sometimes.
Indeed they do.
Yeah. All right. The Almanac. For those who don't know, tell everybody about the Almanac, what they can expect, what they're looking for.
I mean, it's essentially film review. I like redo all film review over the off season of everybody, like 230 player profiles where everybody gets a film grade, and then I write a blurb. It's born of the fact that for years with ESPN, I was the person who wrote those player profile blurbs in the print magazine, but because it was print, it had to be a really small amount of words, and so you kind of just like is meat and potatoes, real short. Now it's a PDF, so like I can go off on flights of fancy. I can do little research projects. I can have cousin Josh, my actual cousin who appears in the show, weigh in and be a wiseacre about particular players. There's a lot of jokes. Hopefully people wind up thinking it's funny. But the heart of it is reassessing everybody, giving film grades to everybody, and showing my ranks. And then also, it's the only place where I have dynasty ranks and super flex ranks. I keep those specifically in the Almanac, and it's a PDF, and it's I mean, Jeff, it's over 100,000 words. It's like 110,000 words.
Yeah.
And yeah, it comes out on Friday. You'll be getting your copy on Friday. You're on the list. You're comped.
Awesome. Very cool. I like being, it's very cool. It's like, Michael Scott saying, I love inside jokes. I'd like to be part of one someday. I'm on the list. That's awesome. I'm very happy.
I think your name is probably invoked in a profile here and there too. Anytime I talk about the Bengals, I'm sure I'm like, poor Jeff Erickson.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, at least I'll be entertained by the Bengals most of the time. I'll be frustrated more often than anything, but still, nonetheless. Hey, good luck on the Almanac. Really
Thanks.
looking forward to 5 days a week on the podcast and everything coming up with harrisfootball.com. Guys, check that out. Follow Chris on Twitter and Blue Sky at harrisfootball. Make sure harrisfootball.com. There's lots to go see there. Just go check it out for yourselves. Check us out at RotoWire. Use promo code YouTube15 to get 15% off any RotoWire subscription. Chris, always a pleasure talking with you. We'll see you at a poker game to be named later.
I mean, when are you available? Well, that's all I need to know. As soon as.
Yeah, that's right. make the game around me because I'm such easy money. I love it. There. Get my $20. Come on. Let's go.
Not true at all. Everybody in that game knows you're a shark, but thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. That's going to wrap us up for today. Thanks for everybody for listening. Have a great day. Filter out that noise at training camp. Take care.